Welcome to the Coach Approach podcast, episode. I actually forgot what episode we
I
are
don't
now.
even know which one we're on now with Phil and Dom.
With Phil and Dom, the flower pot men.
Yeah.
Nah.
How are you, bro?
um, I'm very well. How are you, Phil? Phil, you've been very, very busy, no?
Yeah, so yeah, mate, it's been crazy, bro. Do you know what? I feel like we barely even talk anymore. We just save our chats and catch ups for
For our
these.
podcast.
Yeah, I
What's
prefer it
been,
that way.
what's been going on? Tell the listeners, because I actually don't know, and that's why I just pressed record because I was like, hang on, I want to actually hear this, and for everyone to hear it, for me and the listeners to hear it at the same time. So, what's been going on, and tell me all about it.
So I have, well, me and a friend, we've joined up as business partners. He's already in the fitness industry. He more helps with like nutrition and supplements and stuff, but we've just launched our own training academy. So uh obviously I'm a personal trainer. You've taken like the online coaching route, yeah. I do the online coaching, but like very part time. It's personally not a direction that I can see myself going and glued to a laptop all day and stuff. Like I'm more interactive. I like to be around people, speak to people all day. So we've got another route. We're going the education route where we're going to be teaching personal training, so qualifying people to become personal trainers level 2 and 3. Once they're qualified, those people who are passionate about fitness who haven't yet found a place or where they'd want to get qualified, they can now come to us. We get them qualified. They can then proceed to get a job or work in the fitness industry. So, um, with the qualification, they'd be able to either get a job in a gym. I never worked in a gym for a gym personally. I think you did. Am I right?
Oh,
For
you Not, no, I was self-employed. It was
okay.
a self-employment basis. So most PTs are in a self-employment base, but you need the qualification, don't you, to get
Mm.
insured. So that's why, you know.
Absolutely. So once they're qualified, they'll be able to get the insurance and then decide whether they want to work freelance or or for a gym, which is great because we're creating a new avenue for people to get themselves qualified, get themselves earning in the fitness industry if it's something that they'd want to do, or even if it's just someone who wants to broaden their knowledge around training and fitness and how to help other people. Yeah, with a place to come.
How long's the course for?
So we're running quite intensive courses. So it'll be 10 weeks long. It's going to be a mixture of practical and theory online learning as well. Their exams and stuff would be online, but then there'll be practical 10 practical sessions during that time while they also complete the online modules as well. So yeah, they'll be learning everything from nutrition, anatomy, how to teach personal training. So yeah,
Altitude. That's big moves, mate. Congratulations.
exciting, bro. Do you know what it is? It's like with me and you are the same in the respect of like we're always looking for like what's the next thing. So you started off as a personal trainer, then you've gone on to do other things, and yeah, you work alongside. I can't remember the people that you work alongside, but I know you.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, go on.
Yeah, no, no, no. We've gone in different avenues, but kept to the education side of
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Just evolved and continued. And we both started, for anyone that's listening, if you're interested in PTing, that's where we started. That's where the foundation is, and that's what leads on to other things. So you get your PT qualification, that starts bringing in, that starts getting the momentum ball rolling.
absolutely. And it's for me, it's like how can we help and impact more people as well? So if we're just working as a one-to-one personal trainer, we're limited to the amount of people that we can help because there's only so much hours in a day. Whereas, again, with the online coaching, you can help and impact more people online.
Hmm.
With what we're trying to do, we want to impact more people through other people. So the more people that we can teach to help other people, we're indirectly helping more people through what they'll learn through us.
So have you got any um deals with gyms yet, or is that something that's looking at down the line? If you have connections at all yet or not?
Yeah, so it's still quite new. So at the moment we're just marketing it, but yeah, the next step is to see how we can approach like universities. So obviously there's people that are doing 3-year courses on sports and all that stuff, but they won't necessarily leave with a qualification that will get them a job in a gym. So we want to see how. So yeah, we are discussing about how we can start approaching things like colleges, universities, um, even football teams, for example. So if there's footballers who aren't yet earning enough, like they're younger and they're not really quite earning enough from football, but want to stay around the fitness industry, then that's another route that they can go down as well. So
When does it start? When's the first course?
our first course is on the 20th of April. So we've got a few people signed up already. We're limiting the course to 10 students per course, just so that we can keep it small and intimate, and we can also get the people on board and giving them the best value and knowledge.
Yeah.
Whereas if we max it out to more than that, it's going to be more about just filling it up and getting loads of people in, but they might not necessarily get the best value from it. So,
Awesome.
um, 20th of April is the first one. We're taking on a few more people. So, whoever's watching this, you're watching this podcast because you're wanting to learn a little bit more about either fitness or nutrition. So, if you are thinking about taking it to that next step, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, reach out to Phil or reach out to me and I'll just reach out to Phil for you. I'll pass on the details. That's awesome stuff, mate. Really proud of you.
Thank you,
Really,
bro.
really.
What's going on with you? Anything new?
Oh, mate, rinse and repeating. Bonnie's trying to get up and sit on my lap right now for anyone that's watching. My
Is she
dog's
all right now? Last time we spoke, she wasn't too well.
Yeah, no, she's all good now. They had kennel cough, so yeah, it was a bit disgusting. It was a bit harsh. She's got over the worst. So yeah, no, mate, no changes my side really. Just training, coaching. I've got a. I'll announce it on the podcast now. I've got a new. I do the Blitz 8-week Blitz.
Yeah.
I'm rebranding that, so I'm going to be doing the first one, which is going to be called the 12-week Peak Physique. Rolls off the tongue pretty well.
Love that. 12
Uh,
week Zeke.
12-week peak physique. I don't know if it's a bit too much, but I'm trialing it out, and I'm only going to do the 12 weeks this summer, and then it will go back to the 8 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
with an optional photo shoot at the end, which will be in July. So I'll be announcing that next month, for a lower cost price. I like to try and help as many people out as possible at different price ranges. I've got my one-to-one premium coaching, which is very much tailored. These programs that I do are obviously less tailored because of the price, but it can all give a person or give people the opportunity to work with me at a lower cost, but still learn a fucking good amount, and get some incredible results, which has been shown in all the past splits. So that's the only real change on my side, mate. Everything else is just training, working, off to Dubai next Sunday.
What's that for? Bit business or work related or just
Holiday.
yeah. Mate, you deserve it, bro.
Yeah, and just got well. I'm working while I'm out, so I'll taking my laptop, still be doing the check-ins. Told a lot of people already, but I'll announce it. The only thing that is different is that my response time will be a little bit slower. I'm quite good with my response time with clients, but obviously being away is just gonna be a little bit slower. But that's the only real change, and then just gonna get some sun, train a little bit, catch up with some friends that are living there, make sure Naomi's happy. Go for dinner and stuff like that. She's managed to get a lot of clothes for me and dressed me over the weekend. So she's bought me, well, she told me to buy certain outfits that matches hers. So glad gym gear. Um, but I digress, mate. Shall we crack on to the topic of conversation?
Let's go. So, what is the topic of conversation today? Just so they know.
How we effectively bulk. No, okay, so I'll rephrase that. How to maximize and effectively bulk and gain muscle. Something like that. This is a topic that I think is a big topic of conversation with a lot of people. A lot of people will be looking at just fat loss, but when people don't bulk effectively and they do a cutting phase, they've got nothing to show for it. So what really is the most important thing at the beginning? I think it would be your bulking phase. Would you not agree, Phil?
Absolutely. I think depends on where you start. If you already are carrying a lot of body fat, I would typically get someone on a cut first. But
Oh, of course.
most people who come to you because they want to bulk know that, yeah, that like they'd either come because I want to drop fat. But if they come to you for a bulk, then of course you're going to start with that gaining phase first. But again, that can be dependent on where someone's starting at.
Yeah, if someone's 120 kilos, hugely overweight, I wouldn't go, right, we're going to a muscle building. No, that would require cutting phase. But I'd say generally, a lot of people are in 70, 80 kilos, haven't got much body fat, but wanting to build muscle, cut and then cut. I think bulking people do it so wrong, and then when they cut, they've got very little to show for it. So And a lot of the time at the beginning of my coaching career was a lot of fat loss. And then now it's more like, right, we need you to build muscle, set the foundations, and then we'll do a cutting phase, and then you're going to look even better.
Mhm.
So this will be tips and tricks on what I do personally, what I've done, what I'm currently doing, what Phil's done. Phil's just wham 24/7, to be honest. Phil doesn't really go into these bulks and cuts. It annoys me. He's just absolutely whammo.
Do you know what? I'd say, yeah. When I first started training, I was 22. I was no joke about 9.5 stone. I don't know what that is off the top of my head in kilos, but I was 22, 9.5 stone. I would say my first 3 years training, all I did was bulk, but without even focus on bulking. Just I was eating clean, eating healthy, but just eating everything,
Yeah,
like, eating loads. And I'd say I did that for a good 3 years. So if you're one of those people who's starting out pretty much where I was, and you think that in a year you're gonna be massive and you're gonna like be ready for a cut in 6 months or a year, it's definitely not the case. Like, you need to keep progressing, keep pushing, keep eating, keep training fucking hard, like Dom likes to say, until you get to that point where you're like, right, do you know what, I'm ready for this bulk. But it needs to be a long-term vision that you have with your journey, as opposed to just, right, I've got to get big for this holiday in 6 months, because
yeah.
that's not how it's going to go.
No, exactly. I think with the first thing that you guys need to think about, or if you're coaching yourself, is right, where is my maintenance calories? Where is the amount of food that I need to eat just to stay the same weight? Find that out first. And you need to trial and error this. You need to collect data. I'm literally doing a post later about the logbook. People that don't track data and then complain that they're not making progress have no right to complain that they're not making progress if they're not collecting any form of data. So the very, very basic, males are going to be easier first to do this because females fluctuate quite a lot based on hormones and menstrual cycle and stuff. But if you can find, eating the same, let's say 3,000 calories per day every single day, and you weigh yourself every morning, fasted after the toilet for a good week or 2 weeks, and your weight stays the same at 80 kilos, you know that 3,000 calories is going to be your maintenance. There you go. You've started the foundations. Um, Protein obviously needs to be nice and high, but the underlying factor is calories. And I've said this before. I don't know if you see my Instagram. You could be hitting your protein easily, but if you're not eating enough calories, you're not going to be building enough.
Or won't grow.
Yeah, so I always say the foundation is calories. It doesn't matter at the macros just yet. Just make sure you get your calories in. That is the most important thing because you won't be again building any muscle if okay, I've got all my protein in, but I'm consuming 2,000 calories. Well, you're still not going to be gaining weight or gaining muscle. So find your calories, then start going into finding out how much protein that you need. Now, the way I work it out, and I don't know, Phil, you can change, you can tell me how you do it, but a very safe bet is to do 1 gram of protein for 1 pound of body weight. So I'm, for example, I'll just say I'm 100 kilos. That means I need 200, that's 220 pounds. So 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds. So that's 220 grams of protein I will need per day.
Pretty much exactly the same what I follow.
Cool. So yeah, that's what I do. By the way, guys, protein, it will come up and down. As long as you get that roughly, you're going to be covered. And then you've got to play around with your carbohydrates and your fats. This is going to be preference more than anything. I don't know what you prefer, Phil. I don't know if you like a higher fat, lower carb diet. And when I say lower carb, it's just not loads. I prefer quite high fats. Like I'm in the
Mhm.
130s, 140s gram of fat at 4,000 calories and about 500 grams of carbs. I know some people will do 60 grams of fats and 600 grams of carbs. I don't, it doesn't sit well for me that. I like having lots of red meat. I love having loads of eggs. I love avocados. I love fatty fish. Or I love peanut butter.
And
I love
you know
dark.
what? As well, if you're a person that loves food and you're going through those phases um, where you're doing gaining phases and cutting phases, that gaining phase is the time that you can enjoy those foods without feeling guilty and knowing that, because you kind of like sacrifice those foods to make sure you're cutting effectively.
Hmm.
If those are the foods you enjoy, that people think that, like, oh, to be in the shape I want to get to, I need to just eat twigs and leaves and grass all day, every day. But that gaining phase is where, without going overboard and thinking it's a time that you can eat shit, you can enjoy those fatty foods, because it's, if you're eating the right fat sources. Obviously, we did the podcast before on our favorite fat sources, carb sources,
Mm.
protein sources, but that's the time that you can enjoy that, ready to be a little bit more restrictive the next time you got a cut.
Yeah, I did that on my Instagram. Did you see my reel that I did about my plate of my bulking and cutting?
I actually didn't.
Oh, nice
I
one.
lie, you'll have to send it to me.
You muted me or something, you prick.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm actually not a scroller on Instagram. I don't see a lot of people's stuff because I try not to sit there too much scrolling on Instagram.
I just assume that you watch all of my stuff because you're a fan.
I watch
Uh,
90% of it. That's the 1% I miss.
so pretty much I had two bagels with 4 eggs and a whole avocado and some salmon as my bulking plate. And my
Mhm,
cutting plate was 1 bagel, 2 eggs, half an avocado, half of the salmon. It's the
mhm.
same meal, just more or less of it.
Yeah.
And like Phil said, you can play around with, different meals, hitting your hot protein intake, getting good whole sources in. And this is the time to really experiment, enjoy it. Bodybuilders, when they're in an off season and they're bulking, they do spend more time going for meals, enjoying socials, having fun with friends, doing all of that type of stuff. Um, and it's about still being some form of discipline, but enjoying yourself and training hard. You don't just want to eat loads of. There's a misconception here. I'm just going to go off tangent because so many people do this, and I've had clients that do the same thing, and they go, I'm eating loads, so I'm automatically bulking." No, if you keep missing your fucking training sessions, if you're not training hard enough, if you do one session out of 4 in a week, and then 2 out of 4 in the next week, and then one, it doesn't mean because I'm eating more, it means automatic muscle tissue. You
Mhm.
guys still need to train. You guys still need to get some good hydration, get some good sleep, train with intensity, train with effort. Just because you're eating more, you need to make sure you're not releasing, but releasing that energy and training hard to make that new muscle. And this is a misconception that I've had not arguments, but like telling clients stop missing training sessions and eating this amount of food.
Yeah, yeah, because honestly, like, you probably know it from working with so many different people that they'll start slacking off the gym, but they'll see themselves getting bigger, and then you see them in a year and they haven't been to the gym, but they've still been eating the same diet plan that you gave them when you started
Mm.
that bulk with them, and they're like, "Man, I've still done all right though. Like, I've just been focused on the eating," but they got a big belly. No, they hadn't trained, and they're like, "Yeah, but I've bulked up though." But it's like, that's not the way to do it.
No.
Like Dom said, you want to be training fucking hard. That food, that that high consumption of food that you want to be having wants to be utilized by burning that off, by training that hard in the gym. That food is energy for you to
Yeah.
recover, repair, and to grow when
Hmm.
you're training fucking hard.
Yeah.
Those two married together, what's going to get you the best physique that you're trying to achieve.
Otherwise, you just accrue a lot of body fat. Um, so yeah, just make sure your training is matching your bulk, guys. Yeah, and back to 3,000 calories. So we know that you're now at maintenance. We'll do like a case study kind of like thing. But we know your maintenance is 3,000. You're having 220 grams of protein. You've worked out your protein. You've played around with the carbohydrates and fats, finding what you prefer. Then I would personally go to 3,003 or 3,400 calories. Okay. Track your weight every single morning, consume 3,400 calories a day, have a look at what your weight is doing. And then if you are seeing a trend up, they might see drops in some days. But if you're looking at the average of the week, never take it day by day. Always take the average of your week and compare it to the previous average. And if that average is slowly going up, brilliant. You're in a surplus, you're training, you're building muscle. Um, you don't need to be consuming or you don't need to be jumping up on the scale weight too quickly.
That
That's
can
the big
accrue a
thing.
lot of body fat, more
Yeah,
body fat than necessary, or more body fat that you want to be consuming. Once you get to your goal weight, for example, someone's at 15 stone, let's say, and they want to get to 16 stone. They do that in a month.
yeah,
Obviously, I'm over exaggerating those numbers, but they're going to find that they've gained more body fat than muscle. So they might have gained size, but then when it comes to the cut, now they've got so much fat to drop and didn't even gain that much muscle. which is
I have this conversation quite a few times with a lot of I've got a lot of geezers, a lot of boys,
what
and
Jesus.
a lot of geezers, bruv, a lot of lads that are bulking, and I had this mentality as well. So don't the reason that I'm all talking about this is because it's things I've learned as well. Now I had the mentality that I just want to get to 100 kilos. I had Mac, who I've actually just posted today. He was in a very similar position as me, same weight, same leanness, and we've been working together for about a year. And he goes, I just want to get to 100 kilos. And he was just trying to hammer food down. And I was like, right, there is absolutely no rush. There is a maximum amount of muscle that you can build a week. Okay. But the fat that you can put on, it can be pretty much not limitless, but in perspective can be a lot more or a lot less, you know? And why would you want to consume so much food and gain so much in a week when you know you can only maximally accrue or put on a certain amount of muscle? But body fat, you can put on loads. So
Absolutely.
there is no rush, you know, and a lot of people that are listening, I want you to think of, depending on your scale weight, you want to be looking at 0.2% to maybe 0.7%, I always say. So if you're 80 kilos, you're looking at, you know, anywhere between 0.2, 0.1, 0.2 to zero point 0.6 kilos a week. Bang on.
That's it. And I think another thing that's important for people to know is when you're going into that gaining stage, and do you know, I feel like females struggle with this, yeah, because and you might find the same as well, is that some girls just start training because they want to be super skinny, but
Yeah.
then they get to a certain point and it's like, right, we're gonna have to reverse what we've done. We're gonna have to start gaining some of that weight back. But they're like, I don't want to see the weight going up on the scales. But it's important for people to understand that when you're going through that gaining phase, your main goal is to make the weight that you're gaining muscle. You will accrue a little bit of fat gain as that's part of the process and it's necessary for you to build muscle and because you're going to be in a surplus, but limiting how much fat you gain is going to be determined by your diet during that gaining phase. But you will gain a little bit of fat, but you want to limit that fat gain by doing the right things, training hard, and obviously eating correctly as well.
Yeah. You know, let's say for example, 3,400 calories and you're going up nice and slowly. Or it could be 2,400 for a female, whatever it is. If you're consuming 4,000, that's an extra 600 calories a day. Times that by seven, what's that? 41, 42, 42, 4,200 calories extra for no reason. And we
Mm-hmm.
know a pound of,
Over the week, yeah.
yeah, over the week, you know, we know a pound of fat is 3,500. So you're just accumulating unnecessary body fat, which is then going to cut short your bulking phase. You know, I've done a dirty bulk, I've done lean bulks. I'm currently doing another lean bulk. You know, dirty bulks are fun, but it dents muscle growth and it prolongs it. Well, for me, it didn't because I actually was on it with my photo shoot. I did it in 16 weeks. But for most people, it takes a lot longer. And you're then going to have to do a fat loss phase for twice as long because you've just accumulated so much unnecessary body fat. So, a good example is me right now. I'm planning on spending about 2, 3 years bulking. I'm going to do a mini cut in the summer for the photo for the 12-week peak physique, but you know, I'm going to do it slowly. I'm going to gain slowly. I want to be in a surplus in an anabolic state for as long as possible. I don't want to get really fat really quickly and then have to go out of the anabolic state and go into a catabolic state and just waste time because I've put on too much fat.
That's it. And do you know what? A tip for people who are bulking as well, I find like more often than not, people struggle to consume a lot of food than to not eat as much food. So something I find that helps me when I'm bulking is trying to eat foods that aren't going to make me feel as full that are high in calories.
Okay.
So because you already know you can have a healthy plate and an unhealthy plate, but the healthy plate will have a lot more food on there, which is going to make you fuller than the unhealthy food that is just like maybe one donut or something, but it'll
Yeah.
be more calories. So the
Matter.
trick is to find good foods that aren't going to have too much sugar, aren't going to make you too fat, but that aren't going to make you to feel too full at the same time. So something that I do is, for example, little tip for people who don't know this. So if I'm having like a rice and chicken, let's say, for example, I'll drizzle olive oil for the extra calories,
Nice.
which would be good fats, but it's not. and it's going to be give me extra calories, but without making me feel too full. So it's about finding little ways that you can consume more calories, but without feeling too full by the end of the day. That makes you just not want to do it.
It's like this reverse psychology, and when you're cutting, saying when you're cutting, I'm using Farlight spray oil, 1 calories. Now I'm bulking, I'm using olive oil. So it's just switching certain sources.
Yeah.
A tip for me that I do is eating as early as possible. So I'm increasing my time window of food and increasing my time window of eating. If I try and push back as much food as possible into the evening, or I miss meals, or I have to consume 1,500 calories at 8 p.m. It's just going to fuck my digestive system up. So my goal is always to get most of my bulk meals in as early as possible. And it's been shown, if you can do that, your carbohydrate intake can be better. The way you uptake carbs and glucose can be better, and you can actually, digest things better. So for me, one of the most important things, I'm actually doing a guide on this for my clients in a bulking phase, is eat as early as possible. That is a big thing. If you leave too much to the evening, you're just going to fuck up your
Or
digestion.
cramming all that food in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, you're going to fuck up your sleep. You're going to be irritated. And it shows as well when you eat loads in the evening, it can affect your appetite in the morning as well. So, therefore, now you're like, oh, fuck, I feel full. I feel groggy. I didn't sleep very well. I've got no appetite this morning. But fucking hell, I've got to eat all these food. I don't want to. And then you just have the bad relationship. It's because your organization is shit.
Hmm. Well, and do you know what? That was going to be one of my questions. Is I find when I'm on a bulk, it can be too time consuming if you're not like you said, organized with your time and stuff like that. So how do you manage being able to have to cook or eat more meals without taking up too much time in your day? Because that's another struggle some
Mm.
people have.
I did a YouTube last week. I think I posted it of my 4K diet in a day, and I do it in 4 meals. I'm very busy. I don't want to spend time in the kitchen. So
Mhm.
how I do it is, obviously, I have my oats in the morning that don't take too long. I'm done with that. That's a nice 1,000 calories in. The night before, I make double. So whatever it may be, let's just say it's beef. I had beef yesterday. I've actually got it today. So I've got 15% minced beef, steak beef, rice and vegetables. Yeah. I make enough of it so it's over 1,000 calories last night. So I make two. So that's my lunch that I can just quickly consume. Then at like 2, 3 o'clock, I'll make my eggs and bagels. And then in the evening, I'm done and I eat in the evening. And I do 4 meals at around 4,000 calories. Done. Easy. You just
Love
have
that.
what you're having. Um, if I said this on the video, if I was to do it, and I did when I was PTing, I'd just take that food with me, or I would have scrambled egg with bagel on the side in a Tupperware, or I'd have a meal that I can take to work and reheat. It's simple. I just make it in the evening. Um,
That's it. Because what most people struggle with is they won't be that prepared, and then what they do is they're like, "Oh, it's 2 o'clock, and I'm meant to be having this, and I've got no food, or I'm not at home, so I can't go cook." And then they either end up missing meals, or they'll end up having to buy food on the go, which would be absolutely shit.
Yeah, yeah, and it all comes down to organization. And there are times that I have been unorganized, and then I'm making shit up as I go, which you have to be a little bit more skilled to do that. Like when I was PTing in town, I was like, right, fuck, I haven't got my meal prep, forgot it for whatever reason, so I've got to
I
go.
was going to see you at Mackey's when you worked in town.
Oh, shut up, mate. No, I didn't. I've lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, I'd go to co-op and just make up 1,000 calories. I know I'm not probably going to hit my protein, but I'm going to get 1,000 calories.
Mm.
I get my sandwiches, my Sky yogurt, some fruit, get a chocolate bar. That's another thing. Everyone seems to think that when you bulk, you have to be 100% clean. I would be a hypocrite if I agreed with that because I don't even do it. I personally have 80% where it's whole foods. I have, my potatoes, my rice, my chicken, my red meat, my avocados, my eggs, all of that type of stuff. But I'll always leave when I can something in the evening like bagel and Nutella or banana with Nutella. Now I get some fruit in. As long as I've covered myself, fruit, veg, protein and stuff, if I've got something in the evening that I can put in, like a dairy milk chocolate bar, I will. And it'll be easier for some people to do that. Cover yourself a majority of the time and then give yourself some extra food, some what we call maybe dirty food. to add in. I don't think it really affects your progress, to be honest, in my opinion. I don't know what your view is on that.
Do you know what? My view on that, yeah, is like exact same as you. Like 80-90% of everything I eat is good. Um, I personally try not to recommend to my clients to ever eat anything bad, but you know they're going to anyway.
Mhm.
But you'd want to try and get them away from that mindset as much as possible. But like you say, on a bulk, you can afford to a little bit more than you would on a cut. So
Yeah, that's literally bang on. You know, if I'm cutting, I've got less calories to play around with. I need to be on it more. I need to make sure, I'm using my whatever 2,200 calories and I'm being wise with it. When I'm on 4,000, north of 4,000, nah, mate, I'm having some chocolate. I'll have that.
See, the good thing about me is I don't eat chocolate, don't eat sweets, don't eat crisps. Like I just don't crave or
Yeah.
eat any of that. So go
Yeah.
on.
No, I was going to say a lot of people crave that because they're so used to it that their sugar levels are fucked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Blood sugars are they're high, then they're crashing, and I have to I have that a lot with clients. They come to me and they're like, I just crave, 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 crave. Well, one
Struggling.
is your sleep shit, probably, and number two, are you just constantly having these little snacks that are sugar spikes? If you're having more whole foods, and that's what I do, mate. I make sure most of my day is whole foods. I don't never really crave anything ever. I just like having the chocolate in the evening. I like having maybe whatever I want. But most people, if we can tidy up their diet, majority of it, they stop craving the foods that they once did because now their blood sugars are more level.
It's all to do with your blood sugars and insulin, but it takes a little bit of time for your body to adjust to start to balance those out. But if you're constantly feeding those cravings, you're only reinforcing those bad habits even to be even stronger. So
But also remember when you're bulking, they say you've got 500 grams of carbs, mate. And that's what I have at the moment, 550. I try grabbing all of that in oats and potatoes and rice. It can be quite hard,
yeah,
it can be hard, mate. And I want to make it a bit easier for myself. I'm covering myself with my glycogen top up. I'm all good. I'm training well. I'm sleeping well. I'm not gonna if I wanna, instead of have 400 grams of potato, I might bring it down to 250 one day, and I'll have a cookie on in the evening.
yeah.
That's the way I like to. I'm lifestyled as well. I'm very realistic with clients. Would I do that in a cutting phase? No, but I'm a big believer that you can add in little treats here and there, as long as the majority of your food is whole foods and your bulk and you're sensible.
Mhm.
Um,
You know what? I'm quite. This is where me and you are different. Obviously, everyone who listens knows, and you know as well. Like I've not done a gaining phase for a long time, like because obviously I play sports
mm,
and play football, and so I start getting too heavy. That's when I start getting more injury prone. Start feeling too heavy on the pitch if I'm playing football or whatever. So um, it's been a while since I've done a gaining phase. But I naturally just sit at like 93, 94 kilos, and that's if I'm eating 2 meals a day or 4 meals a day.
Yeah, you just he just Phil is a rare breed. He is. For most of us and everyone that's listening, we need our bulking phases. Um, we need to gain weight, to gain muscle. You need to be training hard, and you need to be in a surplus most of the time. Like 98% of people need to be. Um, any tips on more bulking? I like to spread meals out as much as possible. I mean, I've already spoken about meals, but I never go more than five, six
Mhm.
meals. I think more than 6 meals becomes fucking unrealistic.
Yeah.
Trying to get 6 meals in the day when you're a busy individual, especially if you work 9 to 5, what you can have your morning, breakfast, lunch, finished work, then late in the evening. That's four already. Try having six. Like it's just you'll
Mhm.
be realistic with what your job is as well.
No, absolutely. So, tips that I have on bulking would be exactly what you said. When I have done bulking phases for myself, what I'll try to do is eat more in the morning, and then as you gradually get towards the end of the day, you want to make the meals a little bit smaller, less calorific, so that, like you said, if you're eating loads of calories at night, that's going to have a worse effect. So I try to eat more in the morning, and obviously the morning, that's the start of your day. It's like fuel in your car. You want to put fuel in, ready to go about your day, ready for later on when you're going to go train. If you're not a person that trains in the morning, um, and do you know what? Yeah, I'd say something that people love. Um, I don't really have a lot of protein shakes, but when I'm going through a bulking phase, I like to make up a lot of my calories from from shakes. Yeah, so my go-to when bulking, I might have one, sometimes twice a day, depending on how busy I am. So then I don't have to always be cooking meals if I'm not prepped. I'll have a 1100 calorie protein shake with peanut butter, oats, milk, your powder, banana. Just from that alone is going to give you 1,000 to 1,100 calories, which you can consume in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I always say that as well. If calories get too high, they start adding smoothies. Literally what you've just said, peanut butter, fruit,
Mm.
whey, milk, oats as well. And that can be anywhere between 300 to 1,500 calories, depending. Um, that can also make it easy on the digestive system, I believe.
Exactly that. That's why when I'm going through that bulk, like through a gaining phase, that having that once or a couple times a day is my go-to. Just makes it so easy to consume. You're not going to feel overly full because you've not consumed a load of food to get 1,000 calories. Like 1,000 calorie dinner is actually it's quite big. So which
Quite
a
a
lot
lot.
of people struggle with doing that a couple times a day. So
Let's go. People need to gradually bring it up. You know, it's just like progressive overload in the gym. You don't want to go from a fifty kilo squat to a 150 kilo squat straight away. Is that your food is the same? You know, start like I said, that 3,000 calories, 3,004, 3,006, 3,008. You know, gradually go up. Generally, a lot of people will be bulking between 2,800 calories and 4,000, I would say, most people. So
mhm.
your room isn't, it's not a massive amount of room to really, you know, you're not jumping up huge. Imagine trying to do 200 calories every week. You'll be up at 10,000 per day. That's unrealistic. Um, I also
What's
say I get a lot of people that say, I'm not gaining weight, but I'm eating enough. You are not eating enough.
if you're not gaining weight?
You're not gaining weight. It's impossible. And most of the time, and this was me as well, back in the day, I used to go, I'm eating protein. Why am I not gaining any muscle? Because I wasn't in a surplus. I wasn't really training hard enough as well. So, and I've coached some quite advanced people, and they're in their tracker, and they've, you know, I've set like 3,800 calories, and I'm seeing 3,4, 3,6, 3,1, 3,2 that they've had all these days. I'm like, why are you not hitting 3,800 calories? Oh, I just ran out of time a little bit, or oh, I just didn't. I just had my dinner and just left it. I was like, you need to be more organized. Now, I used to, when I couldn't get my calories in, or if I found that my calories were low, I'd grab peanut butter out the jar with a spoon. I'd have, you know, 400 calories. I'd go when I was at PTing on the gym floor, a whole pack of Jaffa cakes. I'd eat it because I know my main goal is to hit my calories. My protein's pretty much there, but I need to fucking eat to hit calories. So many people think, oh, you know, I'll just have 3,000 or I have 3,002. No, if you need to gain weight and you need to eat 3,600 or 3,800, eat 3,600, 3,800. It's not hard to find something in the cupboard to get that extra 500 calories. Peanut butter, mate, 3 or 4 spoonfuls is 500 calories.
500 calories just there. That's it.
It
And
winds me up. It absolutely winds me up. And
I can see you getting
don't
angry,
tell me I'm
angry,
getting wound up
angry
about.
when you talk about it.
Yeah, mate. No, because and I had my mate, and I was like, I was coaching my mate before, and I was like, mate, stop being lazy. Just eat your food. You
And
need the calories.
that's all it comes down to, really, is how much do you want it, and are you prepared to follow what's been given to you? So one of my tips is actually just something very simple, which is know your calorie number. To a lot of people who don't quite understand in as much depth as we do about what it takes to actually achieve a successful bulk, if it seems confusing to you or you don't know where to start with it, that's where people like me and Dom come in and
Mm,
reach out to us, and that's what we help you with.
yeah,
You need to know your numbers. You need to fine tune everything. Nothing needs to ever be perfect. As long as you're as close to 10% of what your numbers are,
yeah,
you're gonna get a good result. So, um, if like I said, if it sounds too complex or confusing for you, which it can be for most people, because a lot of people are living a lifestyle where it's just like, oh, I just eat when I'm hungry, and when I'm hungry, I'll just eat whatever I want. It's a big shift going from that to then having to track, know what your macros are, know what your carbs, fats, and proteins and calories are. Pay someone else to do it for you. They'll do the brain work. You just got to do the work.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. And Bonnie keeps trying to kiss me. Can you see that?
She's hungry.
You know, I'm not going to say the word because then she'll start saying. But yeah,
Puppies.
protein. Don't even try it. Protein, your sources will help. You know, quality sources will help body composition. Quality
We do
sources will
podcast
help
stuff.
muscle accrual. Be mindful of that, and calories are king to begin with. Digestive stack for anyone who has their calories really high, a digestive stack supplement from Supplement Needs. I'm not affiliated with them, but I know it's really good and I recommend it to clients to help the digestive system break down the foods could be very, very beneficial. Your job plays a big factor in your bulk, because I have a painter who's on like 5,000 calories and he's 79 kilos. So, your job will play a massive factor in how many calories you need. So be mindful of that. Um, Eating nice and early, around the training window helps a lot. Consuming a lot of your carbohydrate intake around training can be more beneficial because
Before or after, I usually say like highest carb meals before or after training, about an hour and a half before, just so you can utilize the energy from your food, and then after for obviously repair, refueling.
Yeah, I always find my post workout food is one of my highest, which is my oats. So I bias a lot of carbohydrates around training because one, your body is very sensitive. It's really sensitive to the uptake of carbohydrates and protein. So, being hungry, training, you're depleted, get a big feed in. Include off meal plans. I think off meal plans are really important. I don't know about you, and a lot of people say you shouldn't be having too many off meal plans, but I think it's important that at the weekend you can enjoy some food, to have that takeaway if you need to bump up the calories. Phil might actually disagree with me there because he's very clean man, but I kind of like going out for a meal with Naomi, and that counts as an off meal plan to bump up some calories. So I would utilize that as well.
I think the reason you should be having off meal plans is because
Should or shouldn't.
should is because you don't want to feel like you're being too restricted, because that's what leads people to fail, is when they feel like, nah, it's too hard, they don't enjoy it. So it's about giving people the freedom and a little bit of luxury as well, so then they can still enjoy the process and enjoy the journey. Whereas if it's like, oh mate, that like this just ain't me, or it's just too hard, they just fall off.
Yeah, I think tracking is one of the best ways to do your journey, and I always encourage and I push clients to go from meal plan to tracking. I have some clients that do the meal plan Monday to Friday, and they'll track their own foods at the weekend. Um, have some clients that love a meal plan, they love the structure. So it will depend as well on how you feel towards food. But off meal plans, and when I say off meal plans, guys, it means foods that you don't normally consume can be really good to have that little psychological break during the week. So if you are on a restrictive meal plan, Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday or Monday to Sunday the whole week, and you're allowed, two off meal plans on a Saturday night and a Sunday morning, eat, have fun with it, enjoy it. People need to enjoy life as well, not just be restricted to the foods that they have to eat every single day.
Yeah, something that we haven't really like touched upon as much yet is the training side of things. How would you change your training during a bulk phase compared to a cutting phase?
Zero. So I wouldn't change the training whatsoever, apart from, when you've got more food, you've got more energy, which means we can play around with some intensify sets, things that are gonna, your drop sets, your rest pause sets, your cluster sets, your myo reps, myo sets. This is where you can start really playing around with your training because you have the energy available to you. You're going to be consuming a lot of food. I have some clients in a fat loss phase that we do some of that, but not a lot. But no, you've got the energy there. That's the only thing I would change. The only thing I would change is intensify sets. Everything else stays the same. What about you?
Literally, pretty much the same thing. Obviously, you want to always be training hard, but I feel when I'm like going through that bulking phase, I've got the energy to go that little bit heavier, but without feeling like I'm going to get any niggles. Or that's when I'll start going and loading a lot more heavier with my weights and going for more like heavy sets. So doing more back off sets um,
Mm.
more frequently, if that makes sense. Obviously, you want to be training hard during that cutting phase, but when I'm like cutting, that's when I feel like a little bit weak, a little bit more tired, a little bit more lethargic, a little bit more like I might start feeling like I'm getting niggles and stuff. So that's when I really play around, just going extra and super heavy without that fear, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the same as me. Doing the stage prep was horrendous, trying to train really hard, plus having very little food.
Mhm.
That was a mental challenge. But yeah, training for me really stays relatively the same, apart from, having a bit more fun in the bulk because you have the energy to do so. And that's the funnest part. Um, I was going to mention as well before you mentioned training is hydration as well in a bulk. When you're eating a lot, hydration needs to be staple, but hydration is going to help the breakdown of foods in your gut as well. So if you're not hydrating enough, you might feel more bloated. Your breakdown of foods are going to be a bit harder. Um, so there's an encompassing thing when it comes to bulking that you need to be looking at and go, right, am I causing, is my gut inflamed? Is the foods I'm consuming not agreeing with me? You need to pick easy digestible foods.
And what people don't know is obviously the three main macros we all talk about is carbs, fats, and protein. But there's two others, which is water and fiber,
Yeah,
which are staple and should be staple during a cutting phase, of course, but even more so during a gaining phase because water and fiber are going to help with all those things like you just said, food breakdown, um, synthesizing protein, and etc. So
yeah. Bulking's fun, guys. Bulking is very, very fun. Um, I think that's everything I wanted to cover really in what I do. Like it's not massively difficult in my opinion to bulk. You've got to track data. You've got to track your scale weight. You've got to track to see if you're seeing trends. You've got to make sure you're hitting your calories. That's the most important thing. Then you've got to make sure your protein is hit and then play around with carbs and fats. Then you want to make sure you're eating really early. Then you want to make sure, you're spacing your meals up the best you can. Protein, most important thing is to have it in the day, like the total amount in the day. I wouldn't worry about getting 20 to 40 grams around in each meal. I think the most important thing is if you're getting your maximum protein in the day, that's all good. I sometimes have a 90-gram meal of protein in one setting.
do you know what it is in regards to that? Because people always say like, oh, you can only consume 40 grams every 2 hours. Yeah, it's like that sort of is true, but it only gets you a little bit more of a tiny result. But whether or not you have 90 grams or aim for 40 grams every meal, you're still gonna make progress. You're still gonna get results. The result might just make a little bit, tiny bit more of a difference, but it doesn't mean that if you're not only getting 40 grams or you consume more than 40 grams, you're not going to get a good result because you will.
Yeah.
But it will just be that little tiny bit of a difference that now gets said to people that like, oh, you need to only consume 40 grams or the rest goes to waste. That's like it's just not true.
Yeah. That's
As
a
long
massive.
as you're hitting your daily, as long as you're hitting your daily protein, you're still gonna get where you want to be. You're still gonna get a result from that.
Yeah.
Um, it might just help with a little tiny bit more doing the 40 gram thing, but yeah.
Oh, it's an insurance policy, really, isn't it, to make sure that you're getting enough protein. That's the most important thing. Uh,
Mhm.
that's what I used to say you have to get 20 to 40 grams per meal, which that was something I used to teach years ago, but now not now. Not now. I'm like, right, let's just get enough protein in the day. Um, Spreading out the meals best you can. I'd also include keep cardio in to help digestion. I do 50 minutes of low intensity cardio. I have some clients doing HIIT workout. When you have the energy to do so, doing that can be a nice release of how much food that's in your gut. Um, I think HIIT can be very, very good. And any type of cardio that you want to do. Intensify sets for me can be played around with more. Um, I also find steps still need to be relatively decent. That's going to help digestion. So I'm
Mhm.
always aiming for 8,000 steps per day. Trying to do a walk after each meal. I don't always, but I do walk Bonnie and time it well with with my meals. That can help the digestion process. That's something I teach my clients to try and get some form of movement to push that along. Um, Hydration being very important. Make sure you're gaining in the, I would say for most people, zero point 0.1 to zero point 0.7 kilos. I don't think anyone that will be listening would need to be doing any more than that per week on the scale weight. If you're gaining that, then you're minimizing body fat. Um, yeah. Anything else you want to say?
Do you know what? You've wrapped it up really well. The only other thing I'd say is just be well prepared. That is going to be the game changer. Making your meals the night before with dinner
Mm,
and being prepped throughout the day, so that if you're someone who struggles to get time to eat at work or you can't cook during the day, we've created a lifestyle for ourselves where we can eat at home
yeah.
and keep on top of that. But if you can't afford that luxury, being prepped is what's going to make it so streamlined for you that you don't need to think too much about where's your next meal going to come from, or I don't have time to go to the shop to get a meal. So then you end up having to eat more later. Being well prepped and being consistent with that is going to be the game changer for you.
I track my meals the night before. I was texting a client today saying do the same because it's just a numbers game. So I track everything in the evening. Repetitive meals will help digestion, by the way, guys. Variety is good, but if you can get some repetitive meals, it's going to help your gut. Cover yourself. Don't neglect your fruit and veg. They're anti-inflammatory. They have anti-inflammatory properties. They're going to help stress, internal stress. They're going to help you recover. I always go 300 to 500 grams of fruit and veg a day. Don't neglect that. That's really important. Whole foods are going to help body composition and energy. Sleep is important. Um, and yeah, if you want a bagel or Nutella like I do, don't be afraid to fucking go against the grain and what everyone else says, in my opinion. Phil won't say that, but I will. I would say I always sometimes have a banana with Nutella on the side and dip it in. So yeah, I'm a big fan of variety and including things that you may enjoy when you're bulking. And make sure you're fucking training hard. If you're not training hard, guys, you're just gaining loads of body fat. Just because you're eating more doesn't automatically mean muscle is being slapped on. So make sure you train.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly what he said.
Um, the next I've just broken my chair. Slap my chair. um, our next guest,
Yeah, Lee.
Lee Williams, is going to be.
So I've seen him around, but I've never spoken to him. So yeah, it'd be interesting
Oh, awesome. He's
to speak to
fighting. He's fighting in 2 days. So Lee is a personal trainer, online coach, manager, general manager of the gym, area manager of East Sussex of the gym. He's a fighter as well. He's a dad. I'm really bigging him up here. And I call him the Rock because I don't understand how he gets so much stuff done. Like, I find it impossible to understand. I don't understand. So it'll be fun to see and chat to him about how he does everything. But guys, if you've got any questions on bulking, it is fucking simple when you get the hang of it. There is no special sources. Um, Actually, stay away from bulking from what they called
mass
the
gainers.
mass gainers. That's it.
Don't
Stay
have
mass gainers.
1,000 calories of nothing.
Yeah, mass gainers are terrible. Don't always try and eat your foods. Add some smoothies to put on top of it. You want good foods. You want to stay away from those mass gainers for sure. They're so high in shit. But yeah, any questions as always, let us know. Drop us a message on Instagram. But I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast on bulking.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
everyone.